Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Molly and I do mental health videos, but I also do lifestyle videos as well. And today I'm going to be talking about what to expect when you go to the doctors for help with mental health. If you're somebody who is worried about your mental health, or you're somebody who thinks that they need to ask for help but you don't know what to expect or you don't know what to do, then this definitely is a video for you. So please keep watching and I will go through exactly what happens when you go to the doctors for mental health. So I'm going to be talking about the process and how it works in the UK, just because that's where I'm from and that's where I've got the experience. But I do know that not everybody who watches this will be in the UK. So if there is anybody that has been through a different experience, or they know how the process works in other countries, then it would be really great if you could leave a comment in the section down below and we could get a conversation started, and then we've got more information then to help other people when they watch the video. So that would be really great. So where to start? Now, I've had multiple experiences with asking for help from multiple different ages. So I'm going to go in age order and I'll try to learn how to leave the little, the little thing, and I'll try and figure out how you leave the little timestamps, just in case you have got a specific age. I was going to say you've got a specific age in mind, obviously you just how old you are, just in case you say I'm going to start from like a young age up until my age now. So if you're somebody who's already past being a child, then you don't want to listen to me going on about useless information. So I'll try and timestamp. So my mental health journey, probably for myself personally, probably started from around the age of 6 or 7. Now, initially, I didn't really get the help or the support that I did need, and I think it came from a point of not really understanding that there was issues there, or not picking up on the signs, which can happen, especially at such a young age. Kids tend to have weird habits, and they're coming into the personality, so it's not necessarily going to get picked up on until a bit later on. So I would say that my first actual experience with a doctor was probably around the age of 10 or 11. So what basically happened was, I think the school may have spoken to my parents and I had a conversation with the doctor. Now, at that age, when you go to a doctor, it tends to be one of your parents that's speaking, and I know especially me at that age, I was terrified to say anything. So as soon as I went to the doctors, it was the typical, the doctor says, "How are you? Why are you here?" And I would just go, and then just wait for my parents to respond. So what I'd say, first of all, is please don't be scared to speak. No matter how old you are, you know how you're feeling, and it might not be easy to put it into words, but don't be afraid to actually say how you're feeling if you do know, because a lot of the time you can know something's wrong, you finally get to the doctors and you downplay it, or you are worried what they're going to say or if they're going to judge you, and they can only help you if you are completely honest about how you're feeling. So if you say, "Oh, actually I'm fine," or "I'm not that bad," or "I've just been a bit sad," then they're not going to know the full extent of what's wrong, and then you're not going to get the support that you need. So that's a tip that I'd say, please just be honest with them. I'm not saying that every single doctor is fantastic, and you could get a particularly bad doctor. I've had bad experiences myself, but the majority of doctors have got into that job because they want to help people. So most of the time, you're going to have somebody who's seen hundreds of thousands of patients, they've heard everything, they've seen everything. So they're not going to judge you based on what you say to them in that appointment, and it's always best just to be honest. Even if you want to ask to speak to them alone, they can ask for a chaperone if you're too young to just be on your own with them. You don't have to speak with family or friends. You can speak to them privately if that's easier. Now, because of my age, I got referred to something called YPAS. I'll try to keep all the information down below and on the screen as well. So they were like a kind of therapy organisation for younger children. So I started at YPAS, and I think I was under YPAS for about 2 years. They were lovely. I think I had 2 therapists while I was there. I did used to have a bit of an issue with getting attached. So I was very attached to my therapist that I had at the time, and I think when I changed therapists it was quite difficult, but that was nothing to do with YPAS. That was just part of me and my disorder, BPD, where I would kind of latch on to a person, and it would be then quite difficult for me to move on from that, but the people in YPAS in general were lovely. If you don't have YPAS in your area, then there should normally be something in your area that is aimed specifically at children for therapy. Now, I was air freshener. Sorry. So, like I said, I think I was under YPAS for about 2 years. They did offer group sessions as well, but I refused because I was scared of people. So it was just one-to-one, and I think it was once a week, and the sessions were an hour long. Now, I think initially I was just doing talk therapy, and then there was also times when I did family sessions where they tried to speak as a family unit to try and go through some of the problems that were in the family and some struggles that we were going through. I was about 13, I think, when my mental health began to deteriorate even more. Again, nothing to do with YPAS, they were great, it was just because I was really ill. And I ended up getting referred to what we have in the UK as CAHMS. Now, CAHMS, again, is mental health, and it is aimed at children and young adults. Now, CAHMS was kind of like a step up from YPAS. So with YPAS, they have counsellors, and in CAHMS, they have therapists. Or at least I'm pretty sure. So with YPAS, they can do a lot and they're really helpful, but they don't have that like the therapist and the like psychologists working for them. So with CAHMS, I started in CAHMS, and I think I was under CAHMS on and off for quite a few years. Now again, CAHMS was great. In CAHMS, I did have an awful experience with one of the psychologists. Now, I'm not going to name names or anything, they might not even work there anymore, and I don't want to put anyone off, but she was just horrendous. I think she didn't really understand my disorder, she completely misdiagnosed me, she was really rude, and there was a time when I ended up just in absolute tears. My mum ended up in tears, my dad had to come from work to collect us, and he did go in, and there was a bit of a confrontation, you know what I'm saying. But then I changed to somebody else, and it was absolutely fine. So that's like I was saying before, if you are having a problem with the person that you're speaking to, even if it's not that they're not very nice, it's just that you don't feel connected to them or you can't speak, then don't be afraid to speak up and ask for somebody else. At the end of the day, it's your mental health and they're there to support you, and not everybody is going to suit anybody, and it's completely normal to have a person that might be trying to help you the best they can, but it's just not working out, and it needs to be you that says that it's not working and requests to have somebody else. And at the end of the day, I know that some people might be scared of being rude, but it's your mental health and that's what you're there for, and there's no point wasting their time or your time if you're not getting out of it what they're trying to provide for you. Now, I had multiple different things in CAHMS, so I had therapy, I had sessions with a psychologist, I had CBT therapy, and which is cognitive behavioural therapy. So there was a lot that they did provide to me. There was a lot of it helped, some of it didn't, and it was also at that time that I had gone back to the doctors because I was, as I said, my mental health had deteriorated. Now, they did put me on medication. I think I was first on a medication when I was 12. Now, this didn't work out. I think I was just too young to be on medication, and I am completely for medication for mental health. I hate the stigma around medication for mental health. So if your doctor does suggest medication, don't be afraid to accept medication because of the stigma around it. But also, if you don't think it's right for you or you want to try something else first, don't be afraid to ask or say that either. Nobody can force you to take anything that you don't want to take. And if you go to the doctors, I know because they are, especially over in the UK, the mental health department in general is so underfunded and so understaffed that sometimes it can feel like it's a case of you go to the doctors and you tell them that you're feeling down or depressed or any number of other mental health symptoms that you might have, and they will just automatically offer you antidepressants. Now, I do think part of that does come from being so underfunded, but it also does come from a place of they are trying to help and they do believe that the medication might help. Now, if you really are opposed to the medication, don't be afraid to say it. And I think that's another thing that I would say. Be prepared for them to offer you medication, but also know that it's your choice. So you don't have to take the medication. I took the medication at the time because I just thought, if the doctor is telling me to take it, I was 12, and I didn't, as I said before, I was quite quiet and didn't really think for myself anyway. But the medication just was awful. I had multiple psychotic episodes. I was a complete wreck, and it just really didn't help. And I think that a lot of the time, especially at that age, it isn't really explained to you that sometimes when you go on medication, you can feel worse before you get better. And obviously, I understand that now, and I'm on medication now, and I am so grateful that I've got the option to have that medication and that that's available for me, because I know other people are not as fortunate. But medication at that age and making me feel worse, I wasn't expecting it. It can cause suicidal thoughts. So yeah, it wasn't great, and I did end up coming off the medication, and it really put me off for a long time. So that's why I want to drive as well. If you're not in the right state of mind to take it, or you are really young, or even if you're a parent and your child's been offered the medication, don't automatically say no just based off the stigma, but make sure that you're making a decision based off your child or yourself and the circumstances. And if you want to try other things first, please do, but really push for it. So if they say we can provide medication and you don't want the medication, say no, but then ask them what else they can do, and then they can make referrals over to CAHMS or to YPAS or to the mental health teams as well. Now, I have also had experience with the crisis team. Now, I know what people's opinions are on the crisis team, and I will have had very similar strong opinions of the crisis team, even going back 1 or 2 years ago. Somebody who does amazing mental health videos, and I really think you should go and watch it, is Marie Senchel, and I will leave her channel linked down below. It's Marie Rose, and I've been watching her channel for years, and I just think that her videos are great. They're so informative, and she's just so down to earth. But she said herself in one of her videos, she used to be quite negative towards the crisis team, but as she's grown up and she's got a bit older, she's realised, just like I have, that they are stretched to the point of barely existent in some places. And I know that a lot of people find the advice useless, but they are doing everything that they can. I talk a lot about in my videos trying to prevent, so trying to hold off, trying to distract. And a lot of the time, if you ring them in crisis and they do say things like, have you tried taking a bath? Have you tried making a cup of tea? It can feel so disheartening, and as if they're not understanding or grasping the state that you're in. But unfortunately, there are so many people that will be in exactly the same position, calling, needing support and needing help and needing to see someone, and they just don't have the facility to get to everybody straight away. So they are unfortunately trying to buy time, which is why they will ask you to do these things. And although it does seem stupid, a lot of the things that they do suggest, like taking a bath, reading a book, these are all self-help tips that we talk about anyway in mental health. Sometimes taking a bath, yeah, it's not going to cure your depression, but it might make you feel better. We've all been depressed and stayed in bed, not got washed, not got dressed, and it does make you feel worse. And I'm not saying that not getting dressed is the reason why you're ill, but not getting dressed is still going to make you feel worse than if you got up and dressed, if that makes sense. So I've had experience with crisis team as well. They were sometimes helpful, sometimes I felt like they were not as helpful. Like I said, they are stretched. So that is another support. I've just realised I've gone on a tangent because it was meant to just be about when you go to the doctors, and I've gone off on one. Yeah, so I'll try and bring it back. Yeah, so that was what happened when I was younger. And I went to the doctors, I got my parents to speak for me, they referred me to CAHMS, they referred me to YPAS, and they also provided me with medication. Now, in terms of as an adult, I do think or at least it's been for me easier as an adult to go to the doctors about mental health, just because I feel more like I understand my mental health a bit more, and I understand mental health, and I understand the support that's out there for mental health. And I know that I can go to the doctors now, and I know that I can go to the doctors and kind of speak up for myself a bit more than I used to. And I mean, when I say now, I'm not talking like from when I was a child to now, I'm talking even just in the last year. I've become a bit more aware and a bit more on the ball about when I need to go to the doctors and what I need to say to the doctors. So if you're sitting there thinking, that's just not me, I'm not ready, I'm not there, don't worry, because I wasn't. It's only been really this year, because last year I was in a really bad place, and I've had a lot of reflection and a lot of even just doing my mental health page and trying to help people. It's made me feel a bit more confident. So don't worry if you're not there yet, but what you should do is, in most doctors now, you would ring up for an appointment. Now, if you ring up and they say they don't have an appointment, if it is for mental health, you can ask them for an out of hours appointment. And if they can't provide you with one, and you really are not in a good place and you need help as soon as possible, you can call 111. Now, 111 will provide you with an out of hours doctor's appointment. And again, it won't be your local GP, it could be anywhere that they have got close to you that's available, and it might just be over the phone. But make sure that don't be put off by them saying that they haven't got an appointment. Most doctors, when you ring them, will not have an appointment available. Appointments are so few and far between, and the whole ringing up at 8 o'clock in the morning and trying to get one, we've all been in a queue waiting to get through to our GP, and sometimes you can be on hold for an hour and then you get through and they haven't got any appointments. But make sure that you are forceful with the fact that you need this appointment, and don't be afraid to let them know. You don't have to give the receptionist any details. You just say, it's mental health related, I really need to speak to someone. They will get someone to ring you back, and if not, like I said, ring 111, non-emergency emergency line, and they will get you an out of hours appointment. Now, what to expect? They're gonna ask you some tough questions. Now, they have to ask you those questions. Don't be afraid when they do ask you those questions, and always be honest. So they will ask you things like, do you think you're a harm to yourself or to somebody else? Have you had any thought of ending your life? Have you hurt yourself? Do you self-harm? They'll ask you a lot of difficult questions, but that is only to help you so that they know exactly what support they need to put in place and when they need to put that support in place. If you're somebody who's calling them and you've only just started feeling low or struggling with symptoms and you're not sure why, then obviously they will see you as soon as possible, but they might know that they're safe to just refer you on and you'll be on a waiting list for some time. Or if it's somebody who's in complete crisis, then they know they need to put you in touch with the crisis team or to advise you to go to A&E. I'll do a video on what it's like to go to A&E for mental health as well. If that's something that you'd be interested in, please like this button. Please press the like button so that I know that's something you'd be interested in. So they'll figure out exactly what they can do for you at that time and what needs to happen. But that's why it's so important to be honest and not be afraid to say something because you're feared. Not be afraid to say something because you're worried that they're going to judge you. They're not going to judge you. They just need to know what help you need and how urgently you need that support. So they might call you in for an appointment. Again, if you're an adult or a late teen, then you can go to the appointment by yourself, and you can take someone with you if you want to. They usually do like to speak to you alone, but that's only because they want to make sure that you are comfortable speaking about anything that you need to speak about in that appointment. And like I said, if there's a particular doctor that you might not get on with, or you want to see a woman or you want to see a male doctor, don't be afraid to ask, because at the end of the day, mental health, and that's the main thing, and they are there to help you. So it's whatever's going to make you feel more comfortable. That's what you need to do, okay? When you go to the appointment, they will basically just want to hear exactly what's been going on, exactly how you're feeling, and then they'll put suggestions to you. So there's not that much that happens in the doctor's appointment itself. You are just there to just get everything off your chest, explain all of your symptoms that you've been having. Now, bear in mind, it might not be for depression. It could be for symptoms that you're having that you don't understand. Like one of the disorders I suffer with is OCD, but that didn't get diagnosed straight away. And a lot of the symptoms that I was having, I basically thought that I was just crazy. And I know you shouldn't use that word, but I did. I thought that I was crazy. And I was scared to tell anybody because of the extent of the thoughts that I was having and how graphic and awful they were. And I thought that I was just a really awful person. But if you speak to the doctor, it's so much easier doing that than bottling everything. It's better getting it off your chest and talking about it, because guaranteed they'll know someone, or have spoke to someone, or will have heard about it. At the end of the day, they're the trained professionals. You're somebody who's suffering, but it doesn't mean that you have to understand exactly why it is that you're feeling the way you're feeling. That's their job, and they will help you. So all of the doctor's appointment really is just you talking, and then the doctor will go through some possible treatments for you. Now, they may talk about medication. Again, don't be afraid to ask. Now, there's multiple different medications. You can't try more than one at once usually. I take 2 medications at the moment, and I take them together. Oh, I take 3, but so I take multiple medications and I take them together at the moment. Usually, if you've never had medication, they would want to start you on one, and they'll start you on a lower dose and build its way up. But don't be afraid to ask them about different medication options. If they just recommend one, and just ask why. So what are the benefits of it? Why do they think it would be helpful for you? What are the negatives? And are there any others that you might be able to try that might be better for you? As much information as you can get from that appointment, get, and don't be afraid that you're wasting the time, because you've got the appointment and you're there for you and to help you. So any questions you've got, make sure you ask them, and then they'll also put you on a plan they'll basically make a plan of action. So if they think that you need possible therapy, or they think that you might need to speak to a psychiatrist, or that you need to go to A&E, they will give you that advice. So yeah, so basically all that happens is that you go to the appointment, or you speak to them on the phone, tell them everything that you need to get off your chest, and then you then work together to come up with a plan for things to try. So that is what happens at a doctor's appointment from my perspective. I do know that I've gone on a few different tangents of different things, but I will do videos going more in depth into each of those things that I've been through. So if you've got any questions, or there's anything that you want to know more on, please just let me know in the description down below. And if you like this video, I'd love if you could give it a thumbs up, and if you could subscribe, I really love that, because I want to help as many people as possible. Tick the little bell, because that'll let you know when I'm uploading next, and any suggestions, please leave in the comments below. And if you could follow me on social media, I talk about mental health a lot more over there, and I am on TikTok and on Instagram as OCD and me, and I'll leave all the links below. And wherever that you are, I hope that you're having a lovely day, night or evening, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!